Oh, welcome back. This is Jim with my new book, The Sterile Earth. It's my first attempt at science fiction, and it's a post-apocalyptic look at what happens if the entire Earth becomes sterile. Mammals, birds, fish, everything, and the disaster that happens because of it. So I did a reading starting yesterday of the prologue, and today I'm going to continue that reading with chapter 1. Going to have to adjust the camera just a smidge, not too bad. Just a tiny bit. I should be pretty close. And I will start the reading once I get everything the way I want it. It shouldn't be very long. All right. So, chapter 1, how we got here. Most of you reading this won't know the full story. I'm revealing. Everyone who survived knows the internet highlights and various small bits. But I'm going to release all the information I have, every fact, rumor, and any hypothesis remotely viable. I will tell the story and let the reader believe what they want. There are few heroes here and plenty of villains. No one looks good, not even my amazing wife. We made lots of mistakes, and you will see. We made lots of mistakes, as you will see, but we survived. Around the world today in 2080, there is no functional government to prosecute or imprison me for revealing state secrets or any ugly rumors or slanderous statements I print. I'm free to publish the unvarnished truth as I saw personally or as I was told firsthand by scores of witnesses who survived and who contacted me. As a retired member of the old American military and as the Nevada representative of the failed United States of North America Congress of 2065, I have gathered a lot of evidence using my contacts. And I have a lot to say, and I hope someone is listening and learning from the lessons and stories I pass on. The short answer is easy. We've all heard it before. We poisoned ourselves, our water, our food with pollution, artificial preservatives, diet soda. Donuts were one of my favorites. Microplastics, pesticides, radiation, and heavy metals, right into infertility and finally sterility. It took us a few hundred years, but we did it to ourselves with ultra-processed foods we came to love, the pollution filling the air, and by driving cars, pumping out poisons as we sat in them. Of course, the cherry on top were the nuclear weapons we dropped around the globe in war and for testing. But we didn't just sterilize and poison ourselves. We also managed to wipe out nearly every mammal on Earth. Most of the reptiles, birds, and anything using sperm to reproduce are either dead or on the verge of extinction. My wife and I missed the dogs the most. They were the best friends a person could ask for. During the nuclear winter, our dog pack kept us safe and alive throughout the worst of it. They were the perfect companions, friend, and sentry, and they saved our butts countless times. The last member of our pack was a border collie named Spot. He passed away peacefully at age 18, in his sleep in 2067, still guarding our bunker and compound on his final night with us. To say I wouldn't be here to write this without our dogs is an understatement. My wife and I hope and pray the first mammal scientist returned to the planet is man's best friend. Granted, in the end, it wasn't only sperm we destroyed. Women could no longer carry an embryo to anything near full term. By early 2035, less than 1 in 100,000 times did a naturally pregnant woman even get to the second trimester and never beyond. Carrying a baby to term seemed impossible. We did this to ourselves with the poisons we ate, the pollution we created, and all types of drugs and medications we took too much of voluntarily. Eventually, the birth rates fell to zero, and governments around the world finally cooperated and began to work together on the problem. Until June of 2050, when the burn happened, the governments everywhere utilized all available resources to combat infertility. But the surprise nuclear attacks and the long winter it triggered caused an 11-year near global pause in research and testing and probably killed us as a species. The step back into the pre-computer and mostly pre-electricity age of man may have ended us for good. The longer answer is we could have worked on the problem for another 50 years. Every man, woman, and AI on the planet could have been working in full cooperation since 2036. Since the 2036 worldwide moratorium on weapons production. We were also utilizing the best quantum computers, and we are betting as a species this will not end. Who knows what could have happened, what could have been accomplished if the burn never happened. if man hadn't turned on his fellow man and wiped out more than 95% of the planet. But we will never get the chance to find out. A lone group of fanatics blamed the West for their infertility and launched one of the most insidious and thorough nuclear attacks imaginable. Radical Islam's revenge took 25 years to plan, and it was executed perfectly, potentially ending the human race. When the plummeting birth rates in 2025 were first noticed, scientists began to sound the alarm bells, and the projected Earth's population growth could fall into negative numbers by 2060, followed by a rapid generational decline and a complete crash in 2150. All corners of the Earth were affected by infertility. If not solved, anyone born after the 2000s could live to see the end of humanity before 2150. The projections were already grim. Before 2050 burn, when there were no more children, we will be dead as a species soon after. In 2030, the world's population also was slow to believe, and the news reports downplayed the severity. People didn't want it to be true, so they ignored the signals like empty playgrounds, smaller kindergarten classes, and children's stores closing. But Radical Islam believed, and they blamed the West for all their issues with pregnancies and infertility. The world turned to science. The world turned to science for answers and solutions, and they worked in full cooperation to find them. But we now know in 2025, worldwide infertility was a rapid growing problem. It was mostly a male-centric issue back then. Sperm counts were down by half in 2020, and they were accelerating. By 2030, they were 1% of what the baseline sperm count was 50 years prior. When the citizens of the world found out all babies conceived worldwide after 2035 were done in a lab, in vitro by a doctor, it shook the public to its core. We had moved from infertility to sterility in 10 short years. The more the public learned, the greater the mental health crisis deepened, and governments everywhere were ineffective in dealing with the worldwide issue. Billions were depressed, and it overwhelmed the social services system. Suicides were at a record high and climbing. News agencies stopped reporting self-inflicted deaths for fear they would making it worse. All of us know someone who checked out. It was a grim time, and hard to talk about. 2036 was the first year all major nations were no longer buying, building, or testing better weapons. Peace broke out everywhere, and civilized countries signed an armistice and focused their attention, money, and best, brightest people on solving the crisis. A worldwide military status quo was maintained, and all available money was diverted to research and development for a cure for sterility. Scientists and governments were working feverishly together to save us all. It was truly a global cooperative effort. But the small, noisy radical fraction in the Middle East still blamed the old USA, Israel, and Europe, and they preached it to the world over in mosques, stadiums, and on the web. Radicals said the evil West had sterilized their beautiful Islamic women during and after World War III, or what used to be called the War on Terror. It was a wild claim with no basis in reality. I know. I researched, threatened, stole documents, and to prove the West did it intentionally. I was predisposed to believe the old USA was guilty. It seemed like a short-sighted answer only a politician or a madman could come up with, and as we know, they can be one and the same. But the West didn't do it. It was all unproven accusation and visceral hate. Hell, nearly every writer, blogger, and journalist also bribed, stole, and read all the reports related to every experiment ever done during World War III and before. Not one scrap of evidence was found proving the West tried to kill the Muslim world with any type of sterilization or chemical weapon. The reams of evidence were ignored, and more proof of the West produced, the more it seemed to inflame radical Islam into greater expressions of hatred. With baseless claims, the radicals had the Islamic world on fire, awakening a visceral hate and a cause to unite behind. They preached about how the West was trying to eliminate the thorn in their side by killing only Muslims with selective mass sterilization. It was a call many Muslims, too many, answered. And by 2030, a full-blown caliphate was upon us, Islamic holy war. Murdering non-believers meant paradise to the fallen, Muslims. And it was many, and it was a call many believed, reacted to, and followed. No amount of reason or science could stop it. The radicals did not want to hear the truth. The West even open-sourced all information and data on the crisis and spent $1 billion trying to stop the march to madness. But it fell on deaf ears. The radicals wanted to burn the West down. The imams were very vocal, and their rhetoric was followed up by a global campaign of bombings, kidnappings, and assassinations. People in the West thought it was the worst of times, but we were wrong. They were holding back for the burn. They had a plan to destroy the sworn enemies in one fell swoop, a giant, unimaginable strike at the heart of the evil they believed tried to kill all their people. They used false quotes from the Quran and outright lies and spewed from the mouths of religious leaders to entice and encourage the radical followers of Islam to rise up and conquer the world. The plan took 25 years to execute, and unfortunately, it worked better than they'd hoped. They knocked out the West in one fell swoop. Their insane actions stopped planet-wide cooperation into the research and development for a cure almost entirely. The human race was already struggling, and the burn might have finished us all. That's a good place to stop for now.